Are you today? How are you on this gloomy Monday? Well, it started off gloomy. The sun is starting to break through a little, but how are you today? When your alarm went off this morning, were you excited to go back to work? Did you hop out of bed? Did you pop open your eyes and thank whatever you believe in for another day? What did you do this morning when your alarm went off? Did you dread your alarm going off? Going off? Did you hit the snooze button 3, 4, 5 times? Did you had to drag yourself out of bed? Please share with me in the chat this morning. How'd you feel this morning when the alarm went off? Yes, if you were excited about going to work this weekend, this week, it means that you de-stress this weekend. You played as hard as you work. You're in a career that you love and enjoy. You feel like you're adding much needed value to the world. Good job. Keep it up. Remember just to continue to play as hard as you work and de-stress so that you can give your best self to your company. If you dreaded waking up this morning, going to work, it is probably time to do one of the two things. One, either play harder. You are not playing as hard as you work. You are not going out of your way to de-stress, to manage your stress. There are many things you could do with stress management. You could delegate, you can alleviate. It's so many ways to manage your stresses. It means you're not managing them. Or you're in the wrong occupation. You're doing or the wrong with the wrong company. You're not in an environment that is helping you thrive, and that's okay. Maybe it's time for you to make a change, find out what you're really good at, and make the necessary changes. So, again, I would really like to know, how did you feel this morning when your alarm went off? Were you happy? Were you excited? Were you eager? Did you dread it? I have 1 minute away from 6. What did you do fun this weekend? Did you play? Saturday, I laid in the bed all day. I hadn't done that in ages. I just decided that it would be a B day. So I laid in the bed all day. I read, I daydreamed, I took a nap. I haven't napped in my adult life ever. I took a nap. I watched a little cable television. That rest was exactly what I needed to de-stress and renew and to add some fun into my life. Just the opportunity to be meant so much. It helped me to renew and rejuvenate. All right, I have 12 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I like to do this within 15 minutes. I'm not sure if this is a break or lunch for you, so I like to try to do it within 15 minutes. So, welcome, Work Life Warriors. I am Ebony Davenport, and I teach stress management. I show people how to utilize fund management solutions to decrease stress and counter burnout so that they can be happier, healthier, and well balanced. I use over 50 tips, tools, tricks, and techniques to manage stress. But today we're going to talk about rising with the sun. Let's start a little bit about with stress education before we move on to the tip that I'll give you today. So, what is stress? Everybody knows what stress is, but it's hard to talk about, right? We don't really talk about the causes of stress. We just talk about what is stressing us and how it makes us feel. We all have very different ideas in definition of stress, and there isn't one single unifying definition in the literature. In Eastern philosophy, it is considered the absence of inner peace. In Western culture, it's considered the loss of control. Stress is problematic because it's ambiguous. Stress definitions differ and stresses vary, affecting people's mind and bodies differently. So, again, what is stress? Let's blend the Eastern philosophy and Western culture definition and say that stress is feeling out of control instead of inner peace. And there are 3 steps: perceiving a threat, which is called appraisal, coping with it, and adapting to it. In the stress community, we talk a lot about stress being a relationship between the person's perceptions, needs, and abilities in the conditions of the environment. How we perceive control over our environment causes stress. So there are 2 types of stress: There's distress, and that's the stress we're normally talk about when we're talking about when we say we're stressed, or this is a stressor, or I'm feeling so stressed. We're talking about distress, but there's also a eustress, which is considered the good stress. That is graduation, going on vacation, maybe fulfilling a lifelong dream. It is good stress, but overall, all stress, in depending on the severity, duration, and frequency, is bad for you. Stress is not normal. Pressure is normal, but stress is not normal. So we must go out of our way to limit the amount of stress that we deal with within a day because it causes so much disease and illness. Stress uh, make sure that you are not enjoying your experiences because of the way you're perceiving stress in the stressor, right? Obviously, you're not perceiving the stress or stressor as something positive because then it will be you stress, right? So when you're constantly triggered, especially with distress, bad stress, it is harmful to your body. When a stressful event occurs, it activates the fight or flight response. This response triggers the release of the stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. If the trigger is perceived as eustress, which is good stress, the physiological responses in the production of the cortisol are short term. And cortisol is not bad for the body, but in long having cortisol in your body for long extended periods of time is absolutely harmful. So we want to make sure that we are doing our part in managing our daily stresses so that we're not constantly producing cortisol, or we're not in environments where we're constantly triggered, where we constantly feel like we're in fight or flight, right? Because it means we're constantly producing cortisol, which is impacting our body in a negative way. If if when you have a trigger or something stressful happens, and if it is perceived as distress, we are ready to react with quick instincts and thinking, but our system does not go back to normal until that perceived thought is eliminated. So let's say we work in an environment and everything around you stresses you out, your manager, your coworker, the work. It means that you're constantly in fight or flight. And even though it's not a severe stressor, it is still causing harm to your body because your mind perceives your environment as a threat and it is constantly producing cortisol. So we want to go out of our way to manage our environments, to manage our stress and our stressors so that they're not impacting our body. And that's exactly what stress management is. It's honoring the pause. When a stimulus happens to you, whether it's a boss or a coworker or the work or something, just is out of whack, it is a stimulus. And you have the opportunity, well, once you practice, you have the opportunity to recognize that there is a pause in between you reacting to a stimulus. That many of us, a stimulus occur and we just in autopilot react, right? We don't pause, we don't honor the pause, we don't think about what we want, our needs, the consequences. We just in autopilot and we react immediately. Stress management is honoring that pause and realizing that when a stimulus happens, I have an opportunity to pause, think about my needs, my wants, my abilities, the consequences, the other person, and then respond. You would rather respond than react. And that's what stress management is, teaching you to honor the pause so that you respond instead of react. Stress management is mindfulness and prevention. It's practicing mindfulness and prevention. What we think about, how we cope and respond determines how it affects us. So anytime we're faced with good stress or bad stress, the way we think about it and how we cope and respond determines how it will affect us. Again, it doesn't matter if it's good stress or bad stress, depending on the duration, the frequency, and the severity, it is not that good for us. So when we feel like we're stressed out, we don't necessarily know if what we're doing is countering stress without stress education. When we feel stressed out and without stress management education, we do not know if our actions are offsetting or inducing long term consequences. So, many of us have a lot of maladaptive stress management techniques where we drink, We watch TV, social media, we shop, we use drugs, alcohol, we numb ourselves, we check out, and all of these things are maladaptive. In the short term, it may help, may make you feel better, but in the long term, it may be causing more effects on you, long-term consequences that you never even thought of. So that's why it's so important for you to get the stress education and to then to put it into practice. And one of the ways of putting it into practice is rising with the sun. We have so many ways of managing stress, but not enough time to manage stress, right? Or at least that's what people say. I don't have enough time to manage my stress. So, one of the ways that you can do that is rising early, right? If you get up before your house, before the world, before movement, basically, you have a good, I'm not sure what time your household wakes up, but you have at least, I would say, if you get up early with the sun, you have at least 2 hours, right? Depending on if people in your house are not early risers, you have at least 2 hours, right? Though that is time that you could be using to set up your day, to set the tone of your day, the pace of your day, to set the way of the day, right? And so, one way to manage your stress, especially when it comes to stress management, since we don't have a lot of time throughout the day, our days are jam-packed and busy, is to get up early in the morning with the sun before your household and practice stress management. They say the early bird gets the worm, right? I absolutely agree. As an entrepreneur, of course, I want to be the first one to get up, to ground myself before the world starts to move. The few hours in the morning when the world is standing still gives me a jump start on my day. Getting up at least 2 hours before work gives me distinct advantages over late sleepers, and not for the reasons you think. Extra hours to work, right? I thoroughly believe in working smarter and not harder. In this day and age, it is so easy to go nowhere fast. Therefore, I like to take my mornings and ask that I do everything that I do, say, go, whoever I meet, whatever is in accordance with my purpose or with source or with divine guidance, right? I thoroughly believe in setting the precedent of your day by how you begin your day. I have been a night owl since conception. I actually was being birthed throughout the night. For the better part of my life, I've had a healthy sleeping habit, except for a couple of years in high school and college, where I was borderline practicing insomnia because I was not sleeping at all, or I wasn't sleeping the times that I was supposed to sleep, or for the amount of hours I was supposed to sleep. I was just too excited about everything going on around me. And so it was starting to affect my world, it was starting to affect my schoolwork. I would be asleep in class or yawning in class, or I couldn't concentrate, or I would just have a foggy brain. And so I had to change my habits. About time I got to the professional working world, though, sheer exhaustion after a long day of work would knock me out. So I did not have to worry about, will I sleep well tonight? Will I sleep deeply tonight? I already knew. As I advanced in my careers throughout the year, my stress levels increased tremendously. It got to a point where I couldn't do anything after work that would renew me except for going into a vegetation like state, kind of what I did on Saturday, eating a delicious meal. And everybody know I love a delicious meal and retiring early to bed. My bed is my favorite place. And so the combination of those three will really help me just kind of knock out and be done for the whole day, go into that deep REM cycle of sleep. I knew I was close to burnout because all I could do is come home and do that. And I knew I had to find ways to recoup before it affected my mental health and well-being. No matter what I did or said, I couldn't find a motivation to do anything after work. Weekends were my time to catch up with my family and friends, cleaning, washing, running errands. I knew I had to find a way to replenish what I was depleting daily. So I started to get up early before work, as early as I can, to fill my cup and set my soul on fire. I knew it would be difficult to wake up at 5 a.m. because, as I mentioned, I'm more of a night owl. I know I didn't have a choice because at that point, the job that I was at, I had to get up early. I had to be there at 7. So I committed myself to going to bed by 9 o'clock so I could be up. At first, I started up with getting up at 6. So I will be asleep from 9 to 6, get as much rest as I can. I took the baby steps and I would wake up. And then eventually I bumped it up to 5 o'clock. I challenged myself because ultimately that's what I wanted, to have those 2 hours before I had to go to work. So I bumped it up to 5 a.m. I was so surprised how much I really enjoyed rising with the sun, especially when it was dark and you get to see the sunrise and it's like meeting the sun and greeting the sun and rising with the sun. It's a different type of feeling. I never realized how much more engaged a person becomes when they make the choice to rise early, and how much more productive you are when you practice self-love first. Because I will get up 2 hours in the morning, I will practice self-love, I will wake up, I would, name 3 things I'm grateful for. Then I would journal, and then I will also write another 3 things I'm grateful for. I will meditate. I will pray. I will get some reading done. I will exercise, and I will have me my tea time in front of the window, and then I will get up and get dressed and go to work. So it was my self-love practice that I did every single morning. Waking up early was honoring our body's natural circadian rhythm, and we have a circadian rhythm. Our circadian rhythm is basically a 24-hour internal clock that is running in the background of our brains and cycles between sleepiness and alertness at regular intervals. It is also known as the sleep wake cycle. When you wake up early, the Vita energy is naturally dormant and your body becomes in tune with nature. So for me, my biggest goal here is to align myself with source. I want to live a spiritual life. And so it was very important to me to, tune myself into nature, to align myself with source. And so that the Vita energy gave me so much incentive to continue to do it. So I just wake up early just because of the benefits that I receive with rising with the sun and going to bed early, which will be next week's topic. The sun's energy causes me to awaken and my sight senses to heighten. It created a deep knowing that everything is going to be okay. So when you rise with the sun, for me, it created a deep knowing, a deep feeling that everything will be okay. Life seemed more vibrant and vivid. It made life more purposeful. To see the sun lighten up nature in the morning, it's like lighting up your internal world. When the first sun rays kiss your skin, it ignites your soul, your desires, and your passions. It is something that I think is worth a try. I think all of us should at least try to wake up with the sun and see, at least for 30 days, and just see how it helps you or if it benefits you. One of the best things that you can ever do for your family, community, and world is to take care of yourself first. It is your responsibility to create ways throughout the day to do just that, whether it's in the morning, um, lunchtime, evening time routine. You have to find a way to practice self-care so you can give your best to the world, so you can be your best and give your best to the world, right? We all are giving the same 24 hours. It matters what you do with them. And I think it's best to use those 24 hours to improve the quality of your life. So, what do you think about rising with the sun? Please share with me in the chat. What time do you get up? Do you go to bed early? If you rise early with the sun, do you like Vita energy? How does it impact your body? I really would like to know. Please share with me if you believe rising before your household is so beneficial. It helps you to practice self-care, and it's a way to practice self-management. If you are stressed out, again, it is your responsibility to manage your stress. No one will do it for you. No one even benefits but you. So go out of your way to work as hard as you play. Go out of your way to do the things to improve the quality of your life. You deserve it and you owe it to yourself. And so join me every Monday. I give a new tip or technique every Monday for stress management at noon. On Wednesdays at noon, I do a wellness work break. Please join me for 15 minutes at noon on Wednesdays. And on Fridays, I do Fun Funny Fridays. So please join me on Fridays at noon if you want to practice some laughter yoga for stress management. We laugh the stress away. Also, as I mentioned, I teach stress management. I show people how to utilize fund management solutions to decrease stress and counter burnout so they can be happier, healthier, and well balanced. If you want to learn more about these 50 solutions, I host a stress management fun shop every third Saturday of the month. The next one with tickets open is November the 19th. Look at my social medias for more information. I would love to see you there. It's 25 minutes of stress education, and then it's an hour and a half of a party where I show you how to implement it, all of the solutions that I gave, into an already busy life and make them sustainable. So I hope this helps, work life warriors. Happy Monday. And please share with me if you think that rising early can help you ground your life, can help you set the precedent of the day, can help you be the person you want to be if you set your soul on fire or you fill up your cup and you live the rest of the day through your overflow. So I hope this helps, work life warriors. Have a great day.